kepada UMP kerana memberikan saya peluang untuk bersama-sama dengan tuan-tuan yang bijaksana yang berada di dalam bilik ini pada pagi ini. Pagi ini saya diminta untuk berkongsi pengalaman serta apa dua cara yang telah pun saya gunakan di dalam bilik darjah, di dalam kelas saya bagi meningkatkan keupayaan serta kompetensi para pelajar saya sehingga membenarkan saya diberikan anugerah akademik negara di dalam pengajaran sains tulis. Sebelum saya sebelum tahun 2010 saya menerima anugerah tersebut ialah untuk 2010. Anugerahnya diberikan pada tahun 2011. Sebelum saya memang belum ada penerima, selepas saya juga tidak ada penerima pengajaran dalam bidang sains tulis. Tetapi dalam kategori pengajaran yang lain memang ada ramai penerima-penerima, but not for the pure science. Jadi saya ingin membuka peluang sama-sama dengan tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian yang mengajar sains tulis. Kalau rasa-rasa you all ni nak jadi penerima anugerah akademik negara, duduklah telefon saya selalu. Bukanlah kata telefon, message lah saya. Gunakanlah Telegram, gunakanlah WhatsApp, gunakanlah Viber, yang mana juga kaedah yang membenarkan kita berkomunikasi. Namun demikian jangan lupa, pergilah melawat website saya. In fact, for today's occasion, what I have done is I have already created a very special Padlet for you. And on that Padlet is this lecture I'm giving today. In addition to that, I'm also allowing you to connect with me via the Padlet wall. Minta maaf suara saya kurang baik hari ini, tak sihat. Ini dah Rizwan punya pasal lah, sibuk juga suruh saya datang. Saya kata saya tak mampu, saya tak sihat, saya banyak kerja lain nak buat, datang. Tolonglah kita orang bagi keynote. Inilah suara orang tak sihat macam inilah. In any case, today I'm willing to share with you all the experiences that I have had. And I am now wearing two different hats. One hat is I'm representing the Ministry of Higher Education, and the other hat is of course the teaching and learning for the past 29 years that I have had at UITM. Tapi sebelum itu juga saya pernah mengajar di sekolah menengah. Sebelum itu juga saya pernah mengajar di universiti luar negara. Jadi kalau nak combine semua sekali pengalaman pembelajaran saya melebihi daripada 35 tahun. Can anybody guess how old I am? How young I am? Terima kasih tuan, terima kasih. How young I am? Saya lebih muda daripada Rizwan by about 10 years, yeah. What exactly is teaching and learning? And how is it that you need to transform in order for you to align with the first shift of Malaysian education blueprint for higher education? Everyone today, if you look at the newspaper, if you read through every document that has been printed, whether in print and the media and the whatnot, everyone is talking about Malaysia's vision of producing holistic, entrepreneurial and balanced graduate. And as recent as last week, when the minister was here, he announced the use of a monitoring device, which he called the integrated CGPA. And my office has already been bombarded with many questions. In fact, all different types of media has been approaching my office, asking me, how in the world are you going to implement this tracking device? And other questions also include, had not other universities doing the same thing, implementing the same thing? Had we in this country not done it since the year 2009 and 2010? Why now? Why the significance? If you look at the bottom there, I provide you with the link of which you can go and visit the Padlet. Jadi kalau you rasa-rasa you nak visit the Padlet, ada di bawah ni ya. Exactly as the address right there. You can just go to that address and you can participate however you want via the interactive engagement that I have provided for you. Jadi kalau rasa boring pun nak tulis, dia kata boring lah Dr. J. Tak apa, kita sama-sama terima kenyataan yang sebenarnya yang berlaku dalam bilik ini ya. No issue there. But before I go into the depth of not only the teaching and learning and the concept of constructive alignment, I would like me and the rest of you to bear in mind three very important components. Number one, if you desire to become the best, and in fact, you should desire to become your best. In any teaching and learning setting, later on I will share with you what is the criteria for you to become the best in the teaching and learning as a teacher. What is an excellent and effective teacher? But in order for you to become an excellent and effective teacher, rule number one, know all the rules of the game. And you have to learn those rules. Because if you do not know, or if you are not familiar with all the rules, if you are only familiar with half of the rules, or a quarter or a third of the rules, then you cannot play the game and play it well. Everyone can stand up in a class, and everyone can master the content, because each and every one of you have your own expertise in the discipline. But not everyone can help the students to learn while you are with the students. Everyone is so familiar with the so-called direct instruction, aka known as the lecture method, which is what I am doing right now. It is so familiar. Why is it familiar? At least during my time, that is the most preferred method of teaching and learning. And why was it preferred in those days? Because it is economical. Those days we don't have these so-called internet connections available everywhere in the classroom, everywhere at the university. Those days everybody must be flocked into a lecture room, a room full of about 300 to 400 people. Why? Because it is easy. You change your timetable, everybody, you check on your timetable, you go into that room because it is economical. Hence, the preferred method was direct instruction, aka lecture. But today, there are many options available to you. So if you are willing to play the game, you must play the game the best that you can play. But before that, kalau nak memandu, kenalah tahu, kenalah ambil memandu dulu dah. Kalau nak bawa kapal terbang, kenalah keluarkan duit yang banyak supaya dia boleh bawa kapal terbang. Kan? So you have to learn the rules and then play the game and play it well. Rule number 2. When you eventually look at your students' performances, be very clear on what counts and what should be counted. Einstein once said, not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything that can be counted counts. So if today all you are looking at are just numbers, be very clear on what the learning outcomes for your courses and for the programs are. Bila kita menyebut mengenai towards holistic and balance, adakah dia hanya menjurus kepada beberapa nilai yang kita boleh kira? Kerana dia scientific, kerana dia engineering, kerana dia objektif. Itu adalah kebanyakan daripada argumen yang diberikan apabila kita nak menggunakan nilai. Namun demikian, saya perlu mengingatkan pada hari ini, not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. So we are going to go back to this concept later on when we look at the concept of assessment. And number 3, ladies and gentlemen, if you keep on doing the same thing over and over again, and you expect to get different results, well, perhaps we should sit down and think over all our procedures in what we are doing. Kalau duk hari-hari buat benda yang sama, takkan nak expect result yang berbeza kan? So, if we always do what we have always done, we will get what we have always gotten. So if you intend to produce holistic, if your students are not holistic yet, if you intend to produce entrepreneurial, if they are not entrepreneurial yet, and if you do intend to produce balanced graduates, then there are changes that you have to make in your delivery, in your assessment, in your curriculum design. Perhaps what you are doing today could not help your students go further. Perhaps what you are doing today could probably be enhanced. So go back to rule number 1. Let's learn what are the rules of the game in order for us to make the change. So those are the 3 motto that I will do for today, and we will go on. Jadi bila kita menyebut mengenai towards holistic, maka perlulah kita kembali semula kepada keadaan yang berlaku di dalam kelas kita. Dan kelas kita sekarang ini tidak akan kita confine hanya kepada yang ada 4 dinding sahaja. In other words, no more traditional classroom setting. And I will describe to you how I did it in my class, in my physics classes, because I was responsible to teach computer science, physics, philosophy of science, and there are a number of other courses that I had taught over the past 35 years. Jadi saya akan kongsi bagaimana saya menjalankan kelas-kelas saya towards holistic. So what exactly are our targeted state? Where are we going? Knowing our destination is very important. Dalam higher education blueprint yang baru dilancarkan pada bulan April tahun ini telah digariskan apakah dia langkah-langkah yang akan kita ambil untuk ke masa sekarang sehinggalah tahun 2025. Jadi saya nak kongsi dengan tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian sedikit apakah dia hala tuju Malaysia. Dan hala tuju pendidikan di dalam negara ini tidak boleh lari daripada falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan. This is the national philosophy of education, and that national philosophy basically just say that an individual has potential. But do we know that potential? Presumably, we should know their potential. Why? Because they have already come to us. It is our role, it is our responsibility to know what is their existing potential. I think Ruslim will probably be sharing with you on how to identify this potential by using a number of instruments. Right, Ruslim, you will be talking about the learning preferences and the diagnostic tests a little bit when you talk about ICGPA. Boleh ya? Saya minta Ruslim tolong sambung yang itulah. But basically, identifying the existing potential of the students. Why? Because at the end of the day, at the end of their learning experiences, whether they are at a high school or whether they are at a university, the focus is to develop those potential. And those potential, kalau dalam bahasa Melayunya, saya menggunakan JERI, jasmani, emosi, rohani, dan intellect. And of course in English, it's written here, to develop the individual's potential in terms of their intellect and the emotion and the spirituality and their physical development. Why? The ultimate goal, ladies and gentlemen, as described in this national philosophy of education is, at the end of all these studies, hopefully they will contribute to the nation by becoming citizens. Not only are these citizens knowledgeable, and everybody know a measure of CGPA measures the academic attainment of the students. But what about those other characteristics? What about those other attributes? Where and when are they developed? Should they not be developed? The answer is quite straightforward. From this national philosophy, it states, yes, it needs to be developed. Noble, distinguished characters, morals, responsible, able to self-prosper and contribute to the harmony and prosperity. Contribute to the harmony and prosperity of the self, of the family, of the society, and of the country. And it needs to be done at the individual level first. Because if it is not done at the individual level, how can you contribute to improve society and to improve the country? And moving along, ladies and gentlemen, so, hello? Ya, jadi saya kembali semula kepada potensi yang saya maksudkan tadi itu. Potensi jasmani, emosi, rohani, dan juga intelek. Dan telah digariskan sekali lagi, in the higher education blueprint, the aspirations for the students. And if you can read through all of these aspirations, it does not run far from our curriculum design. In terms of the intellect, in terms of the language proficiency, in terms of the national identity. So you have a balance between the intellect and also the forming of a person, adab dan juga intelek. Apabila ini kedua-duanya digabungkan untuk menghasilkan graduan yang seimbang. Holistik di sini maknanya kelebaran, the breadth of it. Seimbang maknanya sebelah kiri dengan sebelah kanan itu perlulah disamakan. Jangan terlalu memfokuskan kepada intelek sehingga kita melupakan pembangunan insan seseorang pelajar tersebut. So, balance means everything that includes under here must be considered in the teaching and learning, of course, in the curriculum design, and of course also in the assessment. One thing, the component that is on here on national identity is a very challenging attribute for us to help students develop. How are you going to develop the students in terms of the national pride? How are you going to develop in terms of the teaching and learning that happens within your own courses, that they will be proud to become Malaysian and they are willing to die for this country? How? It's very challenging. I myself, although I have not been involved in developing students' national pride and also national identity, but for those of you who are involved in co-curriculum, whether indirectly or directly, you need to help the ministry. You need to help the universities and share with us how will you develop this feeling of being very proud to be a Malaysian and willing to die for the country. So these are some of the things that has been outlined in our guideline, in our Malaysian Education Blueprint, and not far from what you are familiar with. This is what you are familiar with. In your curriculum design, all the learning outcome domains are supposed to help students develop their attributes in the 8 MQF ataupun Malaysian Qualification Framework learning outcome domains. The social skills, the teamwork, the leadership, the ethics, professionalism, and humanities. You know, writing all of these LO domains is very easy, but making it work is very challenging. You are teaching engineering courses. What course do you teach? Computer science. What course do you teach, sir? Thermodynamics. What course do you teach? A programming technique, computer science, thermodynamics. How will all these courses develop students' national identity? How will all these courses develop their leadership abilities? My God! I can't even envision. I taught thermodynamics once, and I didn't help them to develop their leadership, but I did help them to develop their teamwork and also their social skills and responsibilities. What am I saying here? Am I contradicting myself? I think I am contradicting myself. Don't you think so? First, I'm asking a question, what do you teach? And how can you develop all these attributes? And then I'm saying, hey, wait, in my own class, I help develop teamwork and social skills and responsibilities. It's kind of contradicting. What I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, there is no such thing that you cannot embed it in a class such as computer science. In developing students' communication skills, there is no such thing that you cannot help the students develop their ethics, morality, and professionalism. Thermodynamics is the best course if you want to develop students' ethics, morality, and professionalism. But how? Another question, how are you going to do it? Have you done it? If you have done it, how has it changed your students? I don't know. You have taught thermodynamics before. Perhaps in the curriculum design itself, you have outlined how your course will help develop the students. I need to go to the left part of this place so that I can engage more with all the audience. What do you teach, ma'am? Ma'am, what do you teach? Hello, assalamualaikum. How are you today? What course do you teach? Are you teaching any courses at all this semester? Electronics industry. What attributes does this course help the students develop, in addition to the content itself? Okay, never mind. She needs to look back at the syllabus. Perhaps she had already forgotten what it was. What course do you teach? Web programming. In addition to the knowledge and understanding, what else are you helping your students to develop? Okay, mobile applications. But look at the list there. When you look at the 8 MQF or the 9 MOHI LO, what else are your attributes will you help students to develop? Team skills. So you have been tasked to do that, right? In the curriculum design, it says, apart from the knowledge and understanding, you must also help the students develop their teamwork. Is that the only one? What else? What other attributes? Communication and leadership. So basically, what am I trying to say here? Not only will you be helping your students, and you have been helping your students to understand the content, but help skills. And if you look at Bloom's taxonomy, the high order thinking skills are basically the ability to have the so-called functioning knowledge. Now that you know the factual, now that you know the terminologies, now that you understand the concepts deeply, so what? What can you do with it? Look at the room. You know about thermodynamics, right? You know about first law, second law, and zeroth law, and third law of thermodynamics. What about the energy exchanges in this room? Can you help improve the energy exchanges in this room by using those laws? Can we design something simple that helps to first to understand and to control the energy exchanges in this room? Functional knowledge is basically equal to higher order thinking skills. And if you look at the Bloom taxonomy, it starts with application, and then you go to the analysis, the ability to analyze data and information, the ability to evaluate, and eventually the ability to synthesize and or create new things, new ideas, new products. So, as a teacher in the classroom, if I were to try and develop your teamwork in this kind of settings, it is impossible. Memang tak boleh langsung lah. Oh, forget about it. Ya tak? What I could do in learning thermodynamics, possibly pergi kat kolam ikan ke, pergi dekat TNB area ke, go somewhere, pergi sungai, and look at how the energy is exchanged over there. Perhaps bring some gadgets with you, and let's enjoy the teaching and learning. Right now, the teaching and learning is all within four walls. It's just, very traditional. But those who are using MOOC, quote-unquote, globalized online learning, says that, look, there are videos available for you to watch. There are videos here and there. I'm going to put a link on my blank space. I'm going to put a video link on my Padlet. Please visit those videos and try to understand content of those videos. Well, of course, you can do that, but still, you are within the four walls. Unless, of course, you go to a coffee shop and you allow your students to learn from and at the coffee shop. Pergilah mana-mana mamak asli bungan. Pergi kedai mamak, bawa you punya tablet, okay, lecture number 1 will be done there. Tak payah datang kelas. Boleh ke, Prof Ridwan? Saya boleh, saya izinkan pelajar saya waktu itu. Waktu itu ni tahun start daripada 1997. You don't have to come to my class if you don't want to. But then, 1997, siapa yang ada tablet? Tak keluar lagi tablet tahun tu dah. Yang ada cuma desktop. Nak dapat laptop pun sangat mahal masa tu. Itu pun super slow. Tapi sekarang, we have many more devices. Alright, coming from the ministry, in order for us to develop this so-called holistic, entrepreneurial, and balance, what is it that we are trying to do? Number 1, strategy A is to develop holistic and integrated curriculum. And weight number 1 for us to have this strategy is to introduce the high impact educational practices and to initiate the development of integrated assessment methodology. And it is within this integrated assessment methodology that we use our tracking measure of integrated CGPA. Ruslim will be explaining about the concept of ICGPA, tapi saya nak saya cuma nak memperlihatkan sedikit sahaja the concept of integrated CGPA. Perhaps you have already read about this in the start. It was featured a couple of days ago in the start. Basically, what we are trying to do in reporting students' development for all the 8 MQF attributes or the 9 MOHI-LO attributes is the following. It shall not disrupt the existing reporting of the academic, quote-unquote, academic GPA. Why am I saying this? Because the report is right there. That is the current academic CGPA. Cuma bezanya tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian, kita nak menekankan sekarang ini, kalau kursus tuan-tuan dan puan-puan telah pun ditugaskan, khusus awak bantu, bukan sahaja peningkatan pengetahuan dalam bidang disiplin masing-masing, bantu dia dari segi leadership, bantu dia dari segi kerjasama dalam kumpulan. Jadi apabila tuan-tuan telah pun ditugaskan dalam design of the curriculum, you have been tasked to help students develop in those 3 attributes, hence the grade for each attribute will have to be assigned. Not only will the grades be assigned, but you will help the students develop those attributes and skills and competencies. When you help them, and at the end of the day, after you have already done helping them, now let them demonstrate where they are with the competency for each of the 3 just now. And when you have already helped them, and you will report where they are. And the reporting of each one of those attributes, this is just an example for one semester. For each of those attributes, kalau you tengok dekat sini, attribute number 4, nilai sikap professionalism, it's only 1. 1 tak masuk dekat sini ya. Highly competent, 3.5 to 4, and 2 to 2.9 competent in at least 5 of 9 attributes. If you were to ask me, Dr. JJ, is this final? The answer is no. We are still working on it. In fact, we are going to conduct a workshop to identify the working model. UMP had already proposed a working model. UKM had already proposed a working model. We are going to convene on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to harmonize those 2 models so that it becomes the ministry's working model. Not belonging to UMP, not belonging to UKM, but we are going to take that and then we are going to see how the implementation will be done. Everybody is asking, how in the world are we going to do this? Very challenging. It's very easy to just report the GPA, right? You give them a test, or 2 tests, or 3 tests, or 4 tests, and perhaps a few quizzes. Quiz would comprise of about 5% of quizzes. Tests, 4 tests, maybe 40%. Maybe there is a lab, we'll give them 10% for writing a report or set of reports, and the other 45 to 50% sit down in a room, be like crazy for about 2 hours, answer the questions that I have given, which has already been vetted by so many people. Questions are very good questions. 50% given for the final exam. And you report, students, the GPA for the course is, because the students get a B, so the GPA is 3.0. That's all. When did you actually help the students develop other attributes? In which assessment task? Can the task help? Can the test? Can the quiz? Can the final exam help the students demonstrate their ability to work in a team? Or lead a certain project? Or perhaps be responsible to society and be proud to be a Malaysian? If his thermodynamics course has been tasked to help develop national identity, which I think it could be crazy, I don't think I want to assign your course to help students national identity, although I could, if I am a curriculum designer, I could, right? But ethics, morality, and professionalism is definitely something that you need to consider if you have not considered, right? Yeah. Yes. Definitely. Yes. Definitely. So basically, if you are a curriculum designer, this is what we are talking about. Have you, in your curriculum design, helped the students develop these attributes? And how have you helped them so that they can demonstrate that they have achieved up to a certain level of competency? Now, we are saying if you have done that, in your design, in your teaching and learning, let us report it. Be fair to the students and report it. Why? Why do we worry about reporting how much they have already achieved? Industries are now complaining. The CGPA to us is meaningless. It's just another number. But when they come to us, what we really want them to be able to do is to engage with us, to argue with us, to debate with us, to assist us in solving our issues and our problems. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, what matters most from university education is how our graduates help to improve the economy of the country locally and globally. So in order for this to happen, we need to help students develop not only the knowledge and understanding, but all the other attributes. People talk about higher order thinking skills. People talk about the ability to lead a project. How much have we helped the development of the students in those attributes? The answer is, now you don't have a choice anymore. You have to help the students develop. Because if we plan to stay in the 20th century, if we plan to stay in the 19th century in ways that we teach, in ways that we assess, perhaps we should rethink a different and alternative career path. Education of the 21st century has taken a very major turn, and that happens when we go into 2001. Although we are late, but we are never too late. Other countries are also doing the same, but I think we are the first in the country to do this, to be able to report each attribute on a transcript. And this is what we plan to do, so that when your sons and daughters eventually graduate from the universities in 5 years to come, they see not only the grade, not the courses that they have taken, but they will see this web along with the CGPA. So this is something new, and just to share with you also some of the reports that we can give. For example, this is for each semester, and why is this very important? Say, for example, as the students go from first, second, third, and fourth semester, where are they lacking? Here, attributes 4, 5, and 6 is non-existent. Over here, 4 has increased, 5 has not, 6 has increased. So the students as an individual look at their own development. Where am I? You, on the other hand, either as a mentor or as a faculty member or the institution, can look at how can we help the students further develop. If they have taken the course that is supposed to develop their attribute number 4, but they fail, what interventions can we provide for the students? So the whole idea, ladies and gentlemen, of this integrated CGPA is not just for reporting, but rather to help the students develop, to help the universities recognize and identify what is lacking, and to provide measures so that the students can further develop their abilities. So that is the whole idea of this integrated CGPA. Rusli, I hope I have not gone too much into what you are going to say, but I believe that you're going to focus on the actual depth of the reporting itself. So I summarized this part of my talk on integrated CGPA by showing you the concept of live curiously. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are and you breathe, and if you breathe, then you do talk. But at the end of everything else, if you breathe and you talk, at the end of everything, you would like in any university of education to provide the students with rooms and capacities and competencies to become wise people. I know when you design your curriculum, there are many people who would say, oh, don't forget, this one is, what do you call this, knowledge, this one is psychomotor, this one is affective, right? There are as if things are being compartmentalized. When you see a person, do you see this being segmented? When you see the actions of a person, do you see all these 3 components being segmented? The answer is, I doubt very much. You see a person and his actions all combined together. All 3 of these domains are combined together. In other words, students have the knowledge, they have the skills. Now they have to respond to issues and situations. And that response to issues and situations requires the knowledge and the understanding, and requires the precision in the discipline. In other words, do not segment it anymore. Combine together. Can the students respond with care, with love, with responsibility whenever they are given a task to use the knowledge that they have. Wisdom. And for wisdom to happen, if you understand, if you know, you want to know more. And if you want to know more, you are alive. You want to be alive, right? You want your students to be alive, right? You want your students to have fun in your own classroom. I do. How many of you would like to have your children and your students to have fun and to be alive in the classroom? Perhaps all of you do. I know all of you do. Tapi cara dia macam mana? Susah sangat lah. Kita tanya soalan, kita balik yang jawab soalan. Aku suruh kau baca, kau orang tak nak baca. This is a fact. And trying to motivate your students to read the assignment is very, very challenging. What is the carrot that you want to give to your students that they will read? You can give them as many carrots as you want, but the thing is, if they are not motivated, if they don't desire to learn, minta maaf banyak-banyak. Aku ada banyak kerja lain nak buat, bola ke, nak pergi vaporing ke, vapor, apa dia panggil sekarang? YBrs. Dia kata kimia kat dalam tu adalah berbahaya. Saya tak tahulah, saya bukan orang kimia, but basically benda-benda macam tu boleh kot dia orang buat. Tapi kalau untuk suruh dia membaca, ada tak evidence dia kumpulkan? Anak murid saya memang membaca, saya kumpulkan evidence. Dia orang ni memang very honest. Kalau dia tak baca, dia kata dia tak baca. Senang aja kita nak prove. Bila dia tak baca, dia tak boleh jawab. I have correlations. I have done all my survey on that one. But as far as this is concerned, if you talk, you ask, if you think, you search, you see all these verbs that I'm using over here are all behavioral. To learn means you need to experience. To have experience, then you can say positive, negative experience. Okay, time is up. Sorry to interrupt. Q&A session. All right. This is my own personal microphone. I can talk however long I want, right, Colloquium? Okay, no issue. Basically, like I said, I wanted to summarize what I have said just now. University education should help the students to develop wisdom. To be wise means to know which knowledge to use when and how before you take an action. And how you perform in your actions would determine what kind of a person you are. Kalau orang yang ganas, misalnya mak bapak kata anak-anak lah, yang mak bapak dia kata, kau ni bila lah nak study? Kau pun nak study? Kau dah pandai semua dah. Very simple answer, tapi dia punya intonasi dia tu, kau hasam punya anak. Betul tak? Kalau lepuk sekali kan, This is the kind of response. And the same thing is happening also if Prof Rizwan says that, can you please, complete your curriculum design? Can you please try to change the way that you write your learning outcomes? Can you please plan for constructively align your teaching and learning and the way that you collect evidences of students attaining the learning outcome so that it all matches and aligns like the tires of a car? And if you're saying that, nah, I am so comfortable with the way that I teach in the 20th century. Well, if you keep on saying that, chances are you will be left behind and you will be irrelevant to the 21st century class. And so I am highly encouraging each and every one of you to, live in the 21st century, but have fun in living in the century and encourage your students so to live in the 21st century. Saya baru sampai slide nombor berapa ni? Nombor 9 baru. Sebab tadi lama sangat masa saya terbuang. Patut tak adil lah, Prof Rizwan. I'm going to move forward, ladies and gentlemen, because I would like to engage with you. I said there are two ways of engaging with me. Please go to my Padlet, use your devices and engage with me that way. Or you can also ask me questions, live session. I'm gonna skip all of this. You can get my slide presentation from the Padlet. But I would like to conclude my session and open it to Q&A by sharing what I did. This is what I did. When I was teaching my class, I adopt the concept and the motto of JE BAT. I am from Melaka. Allah abang kau, aku besar kat negeri Melaka. Jumpa ulau pajak pakau. Jebat, a name that is so familiar to all of you. But to me, Jebat means journey towards enhancement and balance by utilizing the arts and the sciences in the teaching and the learning. When we talk about the arts and the sciences of the teaching and learning, we are talking about science of learning means you must read about the psychology, you must read about the sociology, you must read about the neuro-linguistic. Once you know all of this, then you will decide which methods, which instructional approaches is the best approach to help students attain the learning outcomes. Art is simply why you choose the method that you do to teach in your class. I have used a number of approaches, one of which is called the PEFALEC, and the other one is called the 5 Ds, and the third one is called the APPIE. These are for different classes. This one here is for my physics classes, and basically this one is for my philosophy of science class. To read more and to know more about these approaches, I welcome you to go to my website via the Padlet, or you can just, I'm very easy to find. Google me, DRJJ. First hit on Google. If you don't believe me, find now. DRJJ, Dr. JJ. First hit on Google. If you don't get the first, perhaps it goes to second. Who knows? Days, on days, I might be second, but on certain other days, I might be first on Google. So try it now. And this is how I decide on how to teach, because I really read all the articles about how people learn and how the brain works and how to inculcate meaningful learning in my students. So to summarize all of this, let's just jump over to the end. I gave some examples here on constructive alignment. You might want to refer. An example of a constructive alignment class would be, for example, here, upon completion of the class, a student can explain the impact, those of you who are teaching ICT, can explain the impact of ICT on an organization's productivity, can analyze, can also communicate, and how I design my assessment task via the apportionment. I'm also welcoming Prof. Rizwan to have a look at this again, and Roslyn, when we discuss about this on Thursday and Friday, this is the major thing I will be looking at, whether or not your assessment task is aligned to the learning outcomes and how many percent, because nanti bila kita nak kira ICGPA, dia akan datang daripada sini. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to share with you the following. Because we are dealing with children, we are dealing with human beings. Once upon a time, a song that was popularized by Whitney Houston. And if you read through the lyrics, the story that I gave you down there, written by Michael Messer and Linda Creed, recorded by George Benson for the Muhammad Ali 1977 biopic, The Greatest. And it depicts the hard times this guy or this lady was going through cancer at that time. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. And let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. How was us then? Did we not have fun? I thought I did. I know when I was in the kindergarten, which I never entered, I had a lot of fun when I was a child. Let's have fun with the learning in our classes. 21st century 4 C's: communicate, collaborate, critical thinking, and creative. And the 3 R's of the new 3 R's. Responsibility, saya dah lupa lagi satu. Responsibility, but reasoning. Critical reasoning, and also moral reasoning, and ethical reasoning. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian, saya dah bercakap lama, masa saya dah sampai kepada penghujungnya. Jadi saya kongsi bersama-sama dengan tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian daripada astro. To go beyond. To be alive, how do we rise above challenges? Announcing, here I am. Imagine your students when they eventually graduate from your class, calling you, Madam, Sir, here I am. 5 years after I complete your course, you know where I am now? I'm working at Google. I'm working with Microsoft. I'm actually the mini CEO of 1MDB. Oops. Silap cakap dia. Tak apa kan? Tak terlebih. Okay, and just go beyond. Never quit. Work with the people who really know. But if you want to learn from me, we can engage in a different platform. This is for me to just to share. But for me to be able to engage with you, I would like to hold your hand and guide you through. I will open the door, hold your hand and guide you through. Saya tidak panggil training for trainers kerana saya tak suka perkataan training. Saya lebih gemar menggunakan hand holding for implementers. So I will and I have been hand holding those who are interested in improving the ways they teach, they learn and they assess. Terima kasih kerana memberi saya peluang untuk bercakap-cakap. Terima kasih juga kerana mendengar dekat belakang sana seorang saja yang tertidur, yang lain-lain semuanya sihat walafiat. Alhamdulillah. Assalamualaikum. Salam sejahtera. Saya buka ruang ini untuk Q&A. Kita tinggal 7 minit untuk Q&A. Okay. Thank you for that question. Teach. When I was doing my PhD, I did my PhD in America. After I completed 5 years of service at UITM, I started 5 years of service at UITM, and then they said that, JJ, I hate to see your face at the faculty. Get out of the faculty. I'm being very honest. The reason they asked me to get out of the faculty because every time there is a faculty meeting, I cannot stop from asking questions and provide suggestions. And so the dean at that time was so sick of hearing my suggestions and hearing my voice in the meeting. JJ, shut up. I'm going to give you a scholarship so that you get out of here. And so I took up that challenge. And he asked me to go overseas. And I said, yeah, okay, very, very good. I wanted to go to US. I did want to go to UK. I've got a number of offers from UK. But I wanted to be at the forefront of everything. And I really love challenges. So I went to the US. During the first 2 years, you know that you have to take courses before you can move forward with your research. And when I was taking those courses, I found out that, doggone it, I don't understand any of this. And to say that you have gone through the bachelor's degree and the master's degree and acing all the courses in physics, and yet when you are doing your PhD, you found that you could not understand the basic concepts of quantum mechanics and solid-state physics and modern physics. And because of that, I said, there must be a way to change students' learning. Rote memorization that led me to A's in all of my courses in physics did not help me while I was doing my PhD. And I hated myself for that. As a result of that, I wanted to change. And so I changed my PhD dissertation from condensed matter physics and low temperature measurements of solid-state physics to physics education. I completed all of my papers, comprehensive examination and preliminary papers, completed all of that. But when it comes to doing my dissertation, I focus more on the learning, on the design of curriculum, and also on the assessment. That started the ball rolling. In addition to that, when I was doing my PhD, I engaged with a number of Nobel laureates. And these Nobel laureates are very passionate about changing science education that went on during those days. That's how it changed me, motivates me. Thank you.
My name is Zairine Shah Yusuf. Okay, it's a tall order to produce holistic, entrepreneurial, and balanced graduates. The starting point should be the lecturers. So can you briefly tell us what characteristics must we have in order to produce such graduates in such a short time.
Of an excellent teacher. Perhaps many of you already have these attributes. At least attribute number one, or something to do with knowledge. First, substance. You have that attribute already. You are the master of the content, right? But how do you engage the students and help the students so that they can become either like you or much better than you? If you can produce so that they are much better than you, that means you have done your job as a teacher. But that is going to be very challenging because it cannot happen overnight. She said in a very short time. Now, I would not say 4 years is a very short time. 4 years for programs, especially professional programs, is a very long time. I remember when I was an undergraduate, I wish that I could come back to the country. And I wish, when I was doing my PhD, also for 4 years, I wish that I could come back to the country. But I could not, because 4 years is there to develop my abilities and competencies. So to answer your question, ma'am, these are the minimal attributes. If you say that you have the substance, fine and good. Increase your passion in the career that you are in. What does it mean to increase your passion? It means to love, to be able to engage, to know about science of learning, to know what the arts of teaching. Science of learning, the arts of teaching. Once you know all of that, then of course, when you are with your students in the classroom, be very caring. Be a person who nurtures visionary, and of course, listen to your students. Sometimes my students don't even communicate with me anymore. But now that I'm not teaching, everybody wants to communicate with me. Not when I'm teaching, but here now, everybody wants to communicate with me. I receive lots and lots of messages from them, and I also receive lots of emails from them. When you give them a task, nobody wants to communicate with you, right? Somehow. Because they are afraid. But basically, Zairin, mana tadi Zairin, where are you? Okay, Zairin, yeah? If, for example, you have already accomplished all of this, I salute you. But if you have already accomplished like 10% of this, there's still a lot of room for us to improve ourselves. The care, the passion, the reason, be flexible. Walaupun you kata ada 16 topik lah, itulah inilah. Perlu ke 16 topik? Saya perlu habiskan syllabus. Kalau tak habiskan syllabus ni macam mana final exam? Perlu ke ada final exam? Engineering board kata kena ada final exam. Perlu ke nak ikut arahan engineering board? It's all in the design of the curriculum agreed upon by all the team members within the program. First day, set it straight. Itu antara kita tenaga pengajar. Belum lagi antara kita dengan pelajar. Hari pertama, kau nak dapat A, ini hasil yang kau perlu perlihatkan. Hari pertama ya. Okay? Kau, kalau kau sekadar nak hidup aja, cukup makan, ini C. Ini dia punya ciri-ciri seorang pelajar C. First day, the rubrics, highly competent, not competent. You have already shared with your students. I hope many of you are doing this. If you have not done it yet, perhaps you can think about it in the upcoming semester. First day of the class, share with them what are the characteristics of an A+, a B plus, C minus students, and a failed student, a not competent. Once you do this, they know which direction they are going. Right? Zairin, Noman.
Yes. I'm from Computer Science Department. So I have one question regarding the weak students.
The what? The weak students, okay?
So especially we see a lot of weak students in our classes. So what do you do with these students? And we have all these frameworks. This is good, and if it is the standard environment, then it is good, very nice, and this will work well. But if there are many weak students, then this framework will not work properly. So what is your suggestion?
My suggestions? What are your suggestions? And then I will share my suggestion.
Okay, all right. So there are many ways. For example, in some fundamental courses, like programming, what I'm teaching. So there, the quality should be strictly monitored, and quality, that means it
Be
can
very clear on what you mean by
Yeah.
quality.
The quality means the pass rate should be higher. Then we have set now 50, should be, let's say, 60 or even 70.
Okay.
Then
So you are very concerned with the numbers.
Yes. So then I think that it will be better, because some students, even we are giving a lot of motivation for them, but it does not really work. So,
Suppose I request from you today, perhaps you can work on this tonight.
yeah.
A competent student who graduates from my course would have the following characteristics. Would you be able to do that, you think? And incompetent students, these are the characteristics. Competent, a pass, a C. I don't care what the numbers anymore. If you can list down the traits or the characteristics of a competent student, then perhaps it is easy for us to recognize the numbers. Like I said, not everything that can be counted counts. What counts most right now is the quality. You mentioned the word quality just now, right?
Exactly.
So the quality of your student. A competent student in computer science should be able to, what should they display in terms of their characteristics and behaviors?
Okay. For example,
Programming.
let's say C++,
Okay.
Java, at least one of the programming.
A competent student
Yeah.
should be able to write a simple application program.
Exactly. Yes.
That is a learning outcome by itself.
Yeah, it should be.
It should be, right?
I think.
Okay.
And
Other learning
also,
outcomes.
There should be such that at the end of the whole.
Very clearly stated. But number one, in terms of the knowledge and understanding, has never been clearly stated by the industry. Some of the high-profile individuals who recruit people to go even overseas and global workers said that I couldn't be bothered with the students' GPA. That's what he said. Out of a couple of million students who has applied through his program, he said most of them that I chose did not have strong GPAs. But those who have strong GPAs and then strong other attributes would be chosen first. That's what he said. So, we say that we are trying to help the students that they can easily be mapped into industries. But yet we are focusing on the content and the content and the content without helping the students develop other attributes. When I say balance, it means the intellectual development is important. The development of a person is equally important.
Very impressive hand holding from you. Actually, I find myself quite difficult to deal with the foreign students. Do you have any advice or any tips to deal with them? For example, when I make some jokes and everything in the class, they just didn't get it.
Sorry? Boleh. Nak cakap bahasa Mandarin saya tak pernah kan sebab saya tidak faham. Walaupun wajah saya, orang selalu cakap Cina dengan saya. Apa pula lagi orang nak cakap tak faham aku. Teruskan.
Saya Zuraina Zainabidin daripada Matrikulasi Faham.
Oh, matrikulasi. Bukan semua daripada UMP. Okey, minta maaf. Saya assume tadi, saya andaikan semuanya daripada ni. Okay, teruskan.
Saya berasa sangat seronok ini sebab mendapat pengalaman daripada pencerahan itu tadi. Sebenarnya kami sangat memerlukan pertolongan, terutamanya daripada pengajian tinggi lah. Isunya sekarang kami dalam dilema bila pelajar-pelajar, bekas pelajar kami yang dah keluar ke universiti dikatakan tidak perform apabila berada di tahun 3 dan 4.
Ni Rizwan, ni dia kerja.
Jadi bahagian pihak di atas selalu menjadi dilema lah pada matrikulasi kementerian pendidikan. So sekarang saya berharap supaya mendapat pertolongan daripada Dr. Diti lah untuk memegang tangan kami supaya kami dapat menghasilkan pelajar yang cemerlang dan boleh perform di peringkat ini.
To follow all of these attributes, I believe when I attended my undergraduate studies 1996, the first question that I asked my graduate students, my friends that are graduated, as engineer, can you able to do like this? They said no. We will go to industries and we will take some experience from the others, even some technician, not engineer.
Performance will be reported based on the attributes and the proficiencies for each of those attributes. And the reason you will be reported based on this is simply because if industries don't have this information, there is a high probability they will not be able to take you in. Right? Now you are a student now. Would you prefer to have this kind of reporting on your transcript so that it is a fair reporting of your holistic abilities, or would you rather have just course grade GPA?
For me, sure, I prefer that for me, but may the others just wanted the shortcut, just wanted the certificate and degree, that's all.
Okay, I only did a survey with you,
Yes.
but I perhaps can extend the survey to each and every one of you in this room. And by a raise of hand, if I were to ask, who among you conforms to the integrated CGPA reporting? Hands up, please. Okay. Since there are so many hands that are not up,